So in the last year, we had to stop playing tennis on numerous occasions, sometimes for 1 month, sometimes for longer. Like for example, Toronto haven't been open since pretty much November until this Saturday, where people could start playing tennis again. So that made me want to record a video on how to safely get back to tennis, whether it's because you're injured or simply you didn't have access to tennis or for any other reason. So let's talk about it. So first of all, I think it's important that you, I know it's kind of too late for now, but maybe if you watch this video at a different time, it's going to be helpful. So I think it's very important that you maximize your time when you don't play tennis. Like for example, if you're injured, you still can do a lot of things. Like if you broke your right arm, for example, you still can play with your left hand, left arm. You can develop, better backhand, forehand, whatever. You still can serve. If you have some injuries with your legs, your feet, again, you can still do some upper body stuff. I remember when Bianca was injured, I'm not gonna say too much about it, but when she had an injury, she couldn't basically put any weight on her feet. That was when she was like 15, 16 years old. Don't quote me on this one. But she was still playing tennis from a chair. Like she would be sitting on a chair and we would be feeding her balls for her to maintain her feel. Not too much, maybe 30 to 45 minutes a day. But she would play her forehands, she would play her backhands, she would practice her drop shots to again maintain the feeling in her hands. Some overheads she would serve from a chair from the baseline, again just to maintain that coordination, maintain the feel. So there's always things you can do, just a matter of you figuring out how can you implement that in your training. And also, obviously, it helps when you have a coach beside you that can help, make these decisions and come up with a plan for you. But in case you don't, again, I think it's kind of like use your common sense to do what you think you can do in your particular situation. And just to kind of double up on that message before, you have to find a way to play tennis when you're injured. And I know it sounds crazy, but in any way, unless you're completely glued to your bed, but even then you can still probably do something. But again, depending on the severity of your injury, you can still find a way to do something with the racket, do something with the ball, just to maintain your feel, just like in the example I was telling you earlier. Of course, everyone's case is different, so I understand it's not always possible, but again, I cannot stress enough how important it is to find a way to play against the wall, just to do some ball bouncing, like do some racket skills. It's huge, especially for kids who lose things pretty quick, When I was a kid, there's another story for you. When I was a kid, I remember there was a player, Thomas Muster, and he broke his leg. So for quite some time, he was practicing, and there's images on the internet, you can look it up. He was practicing out of the chair with his cast on, and then became world number one again. And he was out, I think, for 8 months. So, just because you break a leg doesn't mean you cannot find a way to train. And that example shows that. Another advice is where I think all fitness professionals, all the physios will agree that, and number one advice I would say, is to get back gradually. what happens when your body is, for a long time, is inactive? It completely loses its, it completely forgets what it is to be under pressure. So it relaxes, it adapts to whatever activity you've been involved in for the last month, to whatever your period of not playing tennis. So if you're injured, for example, or you don't play tennis and you stay at home in your bed, when you go out and start playing tennis for the first time, like what you've been doing for that month, your body was preparing, your body was adapting to you laying in bed. So it's been trained to do that. So if you go out and play and try to play like a set or points or something like high intense, you're gonna get injured big time. And so in order for you to prepare your body for high intensity, for points, for something that resembles your normal training, you have to kind of slowly prepare your body to do that. Maybe first week, maybe first couple days is just feeding. It's a perfect opportunity to work on your technique from one spot, maybe a little to no movement. Maybe it's just one step here, one step there. Maybe the first training is just 45 minutes. It's super relaxed. First few trainings for that matter. Definitely first 2 weeks, if you're getting back, I would prohibit any type of high intensity training. Like definitely no points. Doesn't mean it can't be fun. Does it mean it can't be competitive? You can play points from, just you get a point if you have your correct technique, for example, or stuff like this. But definitely not points in a normal sense of that word. Nothing too crazy, too high intense. You have to get back gradually. It's always important. It always helps if you have a professional you can consult when you're getting back, that knows your body, that knows your weaknesses, your strength. If you have a physio or if you have a fitness coach that works with you, it's going to be way easier to kind of find a way to get back safer, and they will definitely help you do it faster. But again, if you listen to your body, if you are cautious, it's easy to manage this kind of thing on your own. It's easy to manage this load on your own and figure out the appropriate load as you get back. Just listen to your body. It will tell you everything, I'm telling you. For the first time when I got back, I haven't played for 1 month yet again, and I went back to full hitting. I couldn't step on my knee. I couldn't put any weight on my knee. It was a disaster. But a week later, because I realized, okay, you know what? I have to slow down here and get back gradually. So I did a little bit of movement exercises on the side. I prepared myself. I did some strengthening of my legs. So again, I was ready. I was getting ready to hit a bit more and more every single day. And eventually I started moving a little bit better without pain. So that's why it was a big mistake for me to go out and start hitting right away. Again, I'm older, yes, but still same principle applies no matter how old you are. Even if you're 10, you're 12, doesn't matter. And another thing, which is, I know parents are eager for their kids to get back. That's understandable. You spend so much money to keep the level of your kids' tennis high. We want to always progress. We get it. But also, it's important that the kids know it, and you kind of talk to your kid before going to a tennis lesson, because I've had this in my group, like kids that I coach. I've told them before the practice, guys, super important. I pretty much gave this entire lecture to them. Low intensity, it's the first time ever that I'll tell you, don't run for the ball. Like, don't actually like give your full effort, because you might get injured. So again, for the first week, for the first 2 weeks. And then still, I see kids who kind of, who, and not that it's bad. I mean, I'm happy if a kid runs for the ball. Don't get me wrong. That's all I want, like for the kid just to forget everything and run for the ball no matter what. But it's important to slow yourself down. So it's very, very, very important that you have that conversation with them as well before they leave, to kind of reinforce. A coach should reinforce on his or her own, for sure. But it helps to have that same message back at home. I also remembered one story. After the very first lockdown, I went back to my club, to Mayfair, and I had 3-hour lessons. And my first lesson was was with like a green dot 8-year-old kid, and the whole day, like 3 hours, it was very low intense. I was mostly feeding, and after that day I had blisters on my hands, and I've been feeding for the last 8 years pretty much non-stop. So that just tells you how your body really forgets, and how it's important to get back at it slowly. Oh man, it's so good to see people playing tennis again. So there you have it, guys. I think this was somewhat helpful to you, especially now that it's summer season pretty much everywhere. Tennis will be allowed finally in Ontario, in most of the Canada. So I hope it helps, if at least I prevent one injury by doing these advices. That made my day. I'm happy. At the end of the day, that's why we as coaches, we do it. We want to help people. So if it did help you, leave a like. If you found these tips are benefiting or will benefit someone, leave a like. It's gonna help my channel. It's gonna help other people like you find videos so they can help their kids as well. So thanks for watching this. I really appreciate it. And till next video, guys.